Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Hello class, how are you today?
I'm fine, and you?
I'm fine too, thank you. Okay, before we start our meeting for today, let's pray together. Pray start. Finish. Okay, so today we will learn about explanation text. But before that, I will take your attendance. When I call your name, please raise your hand and say present. You understand? Okay. Clara Angela?
Present, sir.
Rahma?
Present, sir.
Okay, good. Looks like everyone is coming today. No one is absent. That's very good. Okay, today, as I said before, we will talk about explanation text. In the end of this class, I hope the two of you know the definitions of explanation text and can write explanation text with correct grammar structure and language features. Okay, now who can tell me the definition of explanation text? How about you, Rahman?
Yes, sir. Text explain how things happen, why things happen.
Yes, that was correct. Very good. As she said, Rahma said, explanation text is a text that describes how things or why things occur. It is a non-fiction text, and it is concern questions with the sequence of events and stages. Okay, there are two types of explanation text. There are causal explanation and sequential explanation. There are three structures of explanation text: general statement, closing, and sequence of events. Okay, now I want you to take a look at this paper. Now, please take a look at the first page. In the first page, you can see the explanation text with the title, How Does Rain Happen? The first paragraph is the general statement. In the first paragraph, we can see that the general idea of the text is being explained. In this case, it shows that rain is water that descends from the sky through several processes. With this statement alone, we can see that this is the general idea. And now, the second paragraph is the sequences of events. We can see in this text, it shows that rain happens when the waters hits by the suns, and when the presence of winds have clouds move and gather in other places that have lower temperatures, the droplets become heavier and unstoppable and cause the droplets to fall so that there is rain. In this paragraph, we can see that the sequence of events is explained and how things are happens, or in this case, how rain happens. And finally, in the third paragraph is the closings. You can see here that this closing is concluding the sequence of events by saying this is called peer gap, a phenomenon that is often seen in hot, dry desert regions. The things that you need to remember in this text is that there are several language features, such as using conjunctions, action verbs, present tense, and passive voice. Examples of connections or conjunctions, such as in general, rather, for instance, etc. And present tense, such as is, wait, or are, just like we said before. Okay, before we go to the exercise, who has any questions? How about you, Clara? Do you have any questions?
Yes, sir. What is the difference between residual text and explanation text?
Okay, good question. It is true that this text is quite similar to the procedure text. However, you need to remember that the procedure text describes how things are accomplished in the sequence of events, while the explanation text describes how things happens or why things occurs. Do you understand, Clara?
Yes, sir.
Okay, good. Okay, now we will go to the exercises. Please open the page 2. In this part, I want you to listen to the audio and then you need to write true or false based on these statements. Okay, now let's listen to the audio together.
Loneliness really weird is why the oceans are salty, but other water, like lakes and rivers, aren't salty at all. So why does the water in the ocean have salt in it? For a long time, very few people had any ideas at all. But today, we do have some ideas based on clues that people like scientists have noticed and discovered. They discovered something really surprising. Even though the water in lakes and rivers is what we consider fresh water, when they tested the water and checked very carefully, they found out that this water actually does have a teeny tiny amount of salt. In fact, every place they look, it doesn't matter if it's the tiniest pond or stream, there's still a little tiny bit of salt in the water. There's one exception, and that's this, rainwater. When it rains, that water, the water falling from the sky, has no salt in it at all. Even rain that falls on the ocean, there's zero salt in the raindrops. So rainwater is 100% completely fresh water. But here's the thing. Scientists discovered that once rainwater hits the ground, that's when it starts to become a little bit salty. So then there must be something about the ground itself which makes the water in lakes and rivers become just a tiny bit salty. And there is. Geologists are scientists who study the rocks and soil that the ground is made of. They've been able to figure out that most rocks and soil contain tiny amounts of salt. When rainwater lands on the ground, it absorbs some of that salt. As that rainwater trickles into lakes and rivers, it carries this salt with it. This is why water in lakes and rivers has a little tiny amount of salt. But rain itself, when it's falling, has no salt, since it hasn't come in contact with the ground yet. But then why does the water in the ocean have so much more salt than the water in lakes and rivers? That's the big question. A question that scientists who study the ocean still aren't completely sure they know the exact reason. But if you look at a map, you can see that most rivers, and even some lakes, connect to the ocean. Even though river and lake water only carries a tiny amount of salt, if that water's been flowing for years and years down into the ocean, all that salt that it does carry just keeps getting added to the ocean over and over, where it probably never leaves. We think this might be one big reason why the ocean is so much more salty than all the other water on it.
Okay, finish. Okay, let's continue to the second part of exercise. You can see here that there are squares. In this square, I want you to write an explanation text. Please write it with the correct structures, grammars, and the correct linguistic features. Okay, you may begin now. Okay, time is up. Please collect your paper. I will now conclude the material. So today we have learned about explanation text, the text that explains a phenomenon and how things or why things happen. It has two types, sequential and causal. It has three structures: general statement, sequence of events, and closing. And the language features, it uses simple present tense, action verbs, and conjunctions. Okay, next week we will still talking about explanation text. So I hope you will study it at home. And then I will see you next week. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.